All right, let's see if we can't speak to, the king safety. King safety is something that you hear me saying over and over and over again. Get your king safe as quickly as possible. Get your king safe as soon as you can. And some might argue, okay, this guy is 2200, so we're not sure how this is going to go yet. Let's make a move. But get your king safe as quickly as possible, because not for fear that you're under attack, but because there's a lot of rules around castling that don't apply if your king is already safe. The longer it takes you to get your king castle, the more of those rules that are applicable to the position. For example, castling through check, not being able to utilize the rook that you want to castle with because it has moved, things of that nature. Let's go ahead and put some heat on this guy. He's got counter heat here. That's threatening check. I'm going to go ahead and take my check first, then hit his rook. Protect my pawn. He takes my queen. He takes that. Let's get up here and double protect this and get out of the pin. Okay. Now we're threatening king over. Okay, we're going to join him with that for sure. Already aimed at the f7 square. I don't mind if I do. On my pawn. I see. All right, let's not let him have that pawn. Go here anyway. Knight is a tricky piece, man. The knight is a tricky piece. Might have to kill this bishop. Expecting the queen to come over here. I'm just going to retreat this way. Definitely complicated. I also have bishop east. It's a double attack. Let's just try to put another pawn on it. If he plays pawn takes, we have the original idea. Okay, let's not let this pawn move. At least if this diagonal opens up now, it's not mate. Okay. Where's this queen going? Rip queen. He goes nowhere. All right, let's go over here and attack this rook for a second. My queen. All right, so let's hit the rook. He was threatening check and picking up the queen there. Pawn push could be a problem. So he's got to try to protect this rook, I'm imagining. Even so, I still have this move. I mean, he is without a queen. Okay, he goes for it. Double attack. Attack the knight. He's going to probably check me. I'm just going to step up. He's going to take the bishop. I'm going to capture. His rook is still having problems, right? Still has problems. A double pin. Just take here. Now I'm going to take this one. Check him. Eat this one. I'm threatening this one, and this one. I'll go with the one that creates a passed pawn. Also threatening check back here, by the way. A lot of checks. All right, so check. And now we can run with our pawn. Going here is going to get him mated, right? Okay, so we're not really worried about that yet. Don't think. All right, so I can stop him from queening, but can he really stop me? He's arguing that he can. He's arguing that he can. He's got to choose something, though. This bishop is on the desirable spot. All right, so I check him. The queen takes queens. I check. Threatening mate. Still threatening mate. Oh, he does have this square now. I'm hoping he would push this pawn so that I can get in here. That's really what I'm going for. Doesn't do it. That check is no bueno. Queens are coming off now, and that's just GG. But pinned. Make him step in front of the pawn. Grab the other pawn. When he steps out, that's not good. So that's just GG. We can just walk down. Pin the pawn again. Walk the king closer. He's going to push. This is threatening mate. And he's made it. And that's GG. So the king safety thing, we didn't really get a chance to go into depth on that. But we did beat the 2200. And I guess in summary, let's just take a quick review of the game. Getting the king safe is a priority, so I did this on the first couple of moves. Now, again, I was trying to make the point of, if you do not castle, so you delay castling, knight out, pawn push, all these kinds of things, this is a piece that can't get in the game because you're waiting. This piece won't get activated, and it's actually hurting you by not being available. All right, so that's one of the things. And the longer it takes you to get castled, the more things that come in play, like castling through check or being forced to move your king or something like that. You cannot castle while you're in check. You cannot castle through check. You cannot castle in the direction of a rook that has already moved. There's 3 ways to get out of check: run, block, and capture. If your king actually does one of those acts, you cannot castle. So this is one of the reasons why I encourage people getting their king safe right away. So that's what I do. Now I am free to try striking at the center, which is kind of what he's doing as well. Charge. It was a very dynamic attacking game in the beginning. Both players having similar attacks in the center. And lots of pressure in the position. He's already doubled. It's a symmetrical type pressure just to see who's going to be first. So we continue, try to grab space. I get my queen out of the pin. This activates his initiative to capture. He chose to capture with the bishop, and then we know we've got to get all this kind of stuff safe. Now this attack on the f2 square was very annoying because I don't want to trade rooks off. So finally I decided, just to simply retreat. My queen wasn't actually doing anything from this square anyway, So just slide over. Now he's forcing the rook trade. He undoubles his pawn. So arguably his king is safer than mine, but is it? The king doesn't actually have any real squares. So we continue with our attack. I just put the rook on the semi-open file because there may be some possibilities of getting some kind of sacrifice in his vicinity, and that's the closest direction we can get to our king. Not saying that it's the best move, it's just the move that felt the most natural to me. He charges in here attacking the queen. I have to watch this pawn, which is also annoying. Here I was hoping to just kill the bishop. If I can get this bishop off of this diagonal, then I can move my pieces a little bit more freely. He's moving very quickly. I'm expecting that he's going to play queen h5, so I lift my rook up in anticipation of that, and he does. I calmly retreat my bishop here to double attack his knight. My original intent was to play bishop to f5 and just grab on the pawn, but I said, wait a minute. His knight is already under attack. I can double attack it here, and that's going to be awkward for him. And sure enough, he protects with the pawn. Now, it looks like this pawn is forking, you know, my pieces, or, well, it's attacking and defending, but it's kind of an illusionary attack because the pawn can't actually capture without exposing the originally attacked piece. So that gives us time to get another piece in and attack him. So he slides his rook over. We get our second attack in. The bishop retreats, and now if we play bishop takes knight, pawn takes, queen takes, this is actually interesting. I don't know why I didn't do it at the time. I chose to keep, oh yeah, I was worried about this diagonal opening up. So I decided to just, you know, put it into that idea right away. And now he retreats, which is awkward because it's an attack on both pawns, one of which is already double attacked, or is now double attacked. I decide that king safety is the most important thing here. I can't worry about these pawns on the queen side, which are the furthest away from the king. So let's focus on making sure that we don't get mated. He now returns with an attack on both the f3 pawn and the rook. I calmly retreat, defending the f3 square 3 times, and also moving my rook out of harm's way. Now he returns to the queen side, which is not really that dangerous. And we note very closely that this queen has nowhere to go. The queen has nowhere to go. She is sleeping with the fishes. And right away, he just sacrifices, okay, and then challenges. So here, we decide to tickle the rook with tempo, also closing more doors on the king. If we're able to get a check in, he's probably made it. He lifts his rook up. Now, this move I thought was a great move because I was fully planning on playing bishop here, but then I discovered late in the combination that the tricky knight did have another intention. That was to get the queen back, and that would have been very annoying. So we can't allow that queen capture. So we just slide over, pin the rook to the king. So if knight takes, we're gonna mate. He checks us. We just tickle the knight, and knight returns. We double attack the rook, and this is what we call putting pressure on a pinned piece. He defends the rook a second time, and now we attack the knight. He checks us. A lot of exchanges coming off the board, but the original problem still remains. He tries to defend it a second time. His pieces are kind of tied up. I choose to liquidate some on the queen side because he can't defend both the king side pressure and the queen side at the same time. And I realized here that if I was to simply check him and win the pawn, he could block with his rook and have some kind of attack on my bishop. So let's leave him with the least dangerous piece on the board, and that is his bishop, which can only attack on one color. Check, capture, capture, capture. Now here I got a little loose. I'm not even gonna lie to you. My idea was just to simply queen and mate this guy. But he starts pushing his own pawn. Maybe, let's see here. Oh, you know what I missed? I missed this move during the game. I could simply just queen this pawn, and if he queens, it's GG. I missed this move. I missed this move in the game. I saw the queen mate on that square later, but I was just paranoid that he was going to queen, and I did allow him to queen anyway, so it was kind of dubious. And now I kind of do the same thing, but he starts this series of checks, and I'm just trying to walk my king out of check and tie him up, and that's what we managed to do. And the rest is really history. He can't defend against the queen. All right, so that was that game, and I hope you enjoy. That's all for now. Chess Coach checking out.